Joining me now, one of those small business owners impacted by Donald Trump's tariffs, Yair Reiner, founder and CEO of Gowanus Kitchen Lab in Brooklyn and inventor of the Frywall Splatter Guard, which is manufactured in China. And you and I, Yair, first, thanks for coming back. We spoke in April. You said then that tariffs were killing your business. How is it now?
So I would say that it has been a success. If the point was to pick my pocket as a small business owner, the tariffs have basically been a tax that has taken tens of thousands of dollars out of my family's budget that would otherwise go towards paying the mortgage and paying for my kids' education. So it's been a tough year. I would say the tariffs have been a success if the point was to raise prices on my consumers. I would say the tariffs have been a success if the point was to diminish my business. Having to raise my prices has cost me about 30% of my sales. And it's also really hurt me in terms of trying to develop new products. When we spoke last time, I was in the midst of trying to decide whether to make my new product in Taiwan or in China. I thought, well, Chinese tariffs are bouncing between 50% and 150%. And Taiwan is at 10%. Let me go with Taiwan, especially because they, unlike China, are supposedly a quasi ally of ours. Mm-hmm. Well, 6 months later, it turns out I've made the wrong decision because Taiwan, our quasi ally, the tariffs are 20%, and China, for my product, is 10%. Somehow, at the end of all this trade war, China looks like a favored nation compared to our allies.
So if you'll stand by, I have the California Attorney General, Rob Bonta. His state has a separate case against the Trump administration's tariffs. It's good to have you back. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to Yair. Pleasure. He was here in April. He told us it was bad for his business. Now he's talking about the tens of thousands of dollars, the extra money that it's costing his consumers. You were inside the courtroom today. Give us a sense of what you heard that might be useful to small business owners like Yair.
Well, let me first say I'm sad for our businesses that are being victimized by the president's unlawfulness. They deserve better. And it makes me angry that he's taking unlawful actions, hurting our businesses who are just trying to get by and make a living. It's hurting their workers. It's hurting consumers, everyday people, families. It's hurting everybody. And it's unlawful. And a lot of signs for hope for our business community and Americans generally who are paying higher prices instead of lower prices based on the discussion inside the courtroom. It was a 2.5-hour oral argument. It surfaced all the key issues, the plain and unambiguous language of the statute at issue, its legislative history, the historical context, and basically tariffs are taxes. Congress has the power to tax. And the statute that the president relies on to impose 10 to 145% tariffs against nearly all of our trade partners never mentions the word tariffs once and is never used by any president in its nearly 50 years of existence to impose a tariff ever before. So what he's done is not just unprecedented, it's unlawful. And a lot of what I heard from the justices inside the courtroom today, inside the U.S. Supreme Court, suggested that these tariffs might be ultimately found unlawful. But we'll wait to see. I won't predict or estimate or speculate on what they might do. We'll wait eagerly for their hearing and for their order, and whatever it is, we'll comply with it. But I think there's a lot of signs for hope for our businesses who are suffering.
I think anybody who watches the Supreme Court, it's a fool's game to think you absolutely know what's going to happen after hearing arguments. But you're absolutely right. There did seem to be a couple of conservative justices who were leaning your way, who were leaning Yair's way. I want to ask you about something that Neil Katyal, the plaintiff's attorney, was asked about reimbursement and what that would look like if the tariffs were indeed overturned. Let me play that for you. This is Neil Katyal.
There's a whole specialized body of trade law, and it's in 19 U.S.C. 1514 outlines all these administrative procedures. It's a very complicated thing. There's got to be an administrative protest. There was a harbor management case earlier that this court was involved with in the United States Shoe, in which, the refund process took a long time. There were any number of claims and equitable relief.
So a mess.
So it's difficult,
okay.
Absolutely.
There are two issues here, right? One, how are they going to rule? But let's say that get the ruling, as I said, that you're hoping for. Can this be made right for all the folks who have suffered financially and otherwise as a result of this?
I think it can, and as Mr. Katyal pointed out, there's a structure and a process for it. It could take some time, it could be messy, but there's a process for it. But the most important issue is the president following the law or not? He's not. And because he's not, the tariffs need to end immediately. I hope the U.S. Supreme Court will find it that way. And what happens next is based on existing law and the administrative process that Mr. Katyal lined up. But they're conceptually and based on common sense and justice, everyone who has been the victim of an unlawful tariff, who's had to pay more than they should, who's been improperly taxed by the president, who's violating the law and the Constitution, should get a reimbursement and should get a refund. And so that process, should the court decide that that's what should happen and find for the states that have sued and on behalf of businesses who've been improperly victimized by tariffs, that process will kick in, and I believe that there is a way for them to get their reimbursement and their refunds.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta, thank you for coming out of the court and having that conversation with us. We appreciate it, which brings me back to you, Yair. Are you optimistic that you might see some kind of reimbursement?
Look, a reimbursement would be great, but that's not really the most important thing for me. The most important thing is to be able to start running my business in a normal way again, where I can decide where to manufacture, understand what my costs are, develop new products with some kind of visibility of what the landscape looks like. That's the part that's been the most difficult to overcome. The other thing is I have some relationships to rebuild with my manufacturing partners in Asia. It has been really difficult over the last 6 months to negotiate and then go back in my word and then renegotiate and go back in my word because the ground keeps on shifting. The partners I work with, I've worked with them for a long time. They know I'm an honorable counterparty. They want to work with me, but our ever-changing tariff policy has made me an unreliable partner. And I think that is work that's going to have to take some time to rebuild.
Yeah, it's not great for them either, right? Their businesses and their employees. But let me ask you about between now and June, because we're not expecting a ruling until then. We were just talking off camera about the holiday season, how important it is to your business and so many other businesses. What happens to your business between now and then? You just hope for the best and fight as hard as you can?
I mean, that's it. My prices have gone up this year. They haven't gone up as much as my costs have because I've had to swallow a part of that. That has definitely impacted my sales.
So less profit in addition to paying more tariffs.
Absolutely. My costs have gone up by about 30% and my prices have gone up by about 7%. That difference is money that I just don't have either, as profit or to be able to invest in my business. And it's also taken a whole kind of section of my business away, which is to do flash sales. And to be able to do flash sales and really market things at a significant discount, you have to be able to have the margin to offer that. So that's completely off the table. And, that's been a significant part of my business over the last several years.